Hi everybody, I'm Joey Paul and I'm an indie author, and welcome back to my channel. I write young adult fiction across a variety of genres, and if you think that might interest you, then think about subscribing below. So today we're going to be talking about working with a cover designer. I have over the years only ever worked with one cover designer. She's done all my covers and has surpassed my expectations of what it looked like every single time. But I thought I would give you a bit of an inside look into what it's like for me working with a cover designer. So step 1, the premise. My cover designer is also my best friend and carer, so she and I will talk about the premise of the book and the cover as we go through the process. This can be anything from throwing out ideas of what the cover will look like to just discussing which characters, if any, should be on the cover itself. We'll talk about the genre, the market, we'll talk about what other people are doing and how we can match that, and we'll discuss all the bits and pieces that go into that kind of a decision and design. Like for Blackout, my debut, we both had a similar idea of what the cover should look like. And for the Lights Out trilogy, I knew I wanted there to be a progression told on the covers, and I think she did a really good job of showing that. For the Dying Thoughts series, I knew I wanted Tara surrounded by her ghosts, and those ghosts depended on which story it was. Like for First Touch, it had random ones, but for Fourth Week, it's all about Kaelin's ghost. It's a great way to brainstorm your way through the design so that both of you are on the same page about what you want and why. Step 2, the designing. This can vary from artist to artist. Some people use stock images and that doesn't take as long as drawing it yourself. Neither one is more valid than each other, but there are a lot of things that can go into cover design that I, as a non-artist, cannot begin to explain. My covers are all hand-drawn or digitally drawn, to be more accurate. So B will take the ideas, she'll draw a sketch which she shows me before she then moves on to outlining and make it into the final thing. For Cramming Chronicles, the only piece she draws is the Polaroid photo on the front, and it's always after the main trigger in the story. Like for First Twinge, it was Mira, and for Second Pang, it will be somebody else. But the whole way through, she's asking me for input because she doesn't want to get it wrong. As far as how long it takes, that really does depend. I set a deadline, but B also has the knowledge long before the deadline what covers I'll need for which books. Like right now, she's working on the cover for Invisible and the third Cramming Chronicle book, but they won't be due as such until next January, when I'll be needing them to get ready for cover reveals. So she has a lot of time to work, and in that regard I will say that this isn't the norm. If you're working with a cover designer, you may find the time takes anywhere from a few weeks to a month or so. It all depends on the design, the cover artists themselves, and how complex things are going to be. But there should always be open lines of communication between you and them. Step 3, the text. Now this is a step that I don't think many authors go through, but B only draws the covers, she rarely adds the text herself. There's always a step here that I would be remiss not to share, where the two of us decide on the font for the book/series and the placement of it. I think the only one of my books that I didn't do the text for is Destination Unknown, because that was built into the drawing itself. But usually I'll get the finished cover and then we'll have to agonise over text placement, size and font type. Sometimes it takes forever, other times we hit on one really quickly and it's all sorted. So if you're working with someone and you have a font in mind, make sure you communicate this to your designer. Personally, I knew that I wanted my series to have consistency with covers and text. So like Dying Thoughts is all one text, as is Lights Out and Cramming Chronicles. The same usually applies to the colour of said text, but that's not always the case. And step 4, all done. Now one thing I will say is that B will let me have a certain number of revisions before she says enough. The same should be true of any cover designer, but if you spot a problem early on, mention it then, because this saves you both a lot of time and money. If you don't see something until they come to the final image, then make sure you mention that this doesn't work or that it's wrong or whatever it is, because you are going to be seeing and using this cover a hell of a lot, and if you don't like it, speak up. Usually B and I have been going back and forth about this, so it never really becomes a problem, but there have been a couple of times when I've not realised until the final image that things don't look quite right, and she's been happy to correct it. I realise my situation is unique in that I have access to the artist 24/7, but again there should be open lines of communication between you and the artist. If there isn't and there's not a good reason for it, like family emergency or something, then you might have a bit of a problem on your hands. Covers are so important for book sales and promotion that you want to be able to look at it and think, I like this, it represents the story. So don't be afraid to ask for things and be quick to speak up if you need them. And once the cover is all done, be sure to leave feedback for other writers looking for covers from this designer. That's just common courtesy. So there we go. That's what goes into working with a cover designer for me personally. Like I said, I've only ever worked with one cover designer, so I can't speak to much of the process. I just wanted to give you a small snippet of what life was like working with the cover designer and the bits and pieces that I'd picked up along the way. Working with cover designers is so important. Unless you've got some design skills yourself, you probably shouldn't be designing your own cover. But I understand that they are expensive and it can cost a lot to get the look you're looking for. And it's just a case of finding the right cover designer and the one that you gel with. Personally, I have never felt the need to look elsewhere because my covers are amazing, thanks to Bea and her skill, so I don't need to worry about finding them from anywhere else. So have you ever had a cover design? What was it like for you? Let me know in the comments down below. So that's all I got time for today. If you want to support my channel, you can comment, like, or subscribe. I post new videos on Thursdays. You can find me all over social media and my books are available everywhere. And don't forget to pick up A Lights Off, which is the third in the Young Adult Dystopian trilogy. And also don't forget to grab a ticket to Author City in Birmingham in July 2023, where I'll be signing books. All the links for which are listed below. Thanks for watching, and remember to keep writing. Bye.